Welcome back to Studio for on Fast Times Willy B. We'll be reviewing Locked. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell!
Welcome back to Fast Times Willy B. I'm Willy B. I've got Rosie back with me. Rosie, how we doing?
Good. I'm excited to do this one.
So we've got another busy weekend when it comes to theater releases. Last
sure
week we had
has
4.
been.
This week we have 4, and here we are with review number 2 of the weekend, and that is David Yarovesky's Locked. David Yarovesky, director of Brightburn, so this is the second movie I've seen of his. I personally enjoyed Brightburn. I know there's mixed feelings on that one. If Superman was a bad guy, I liked it. I like this one. So far we're looking good, Mr. David. Cast wise, the two biggest names, the two that really carry the weight of this film, are Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. Two fantastic names to have in a film.
100%.
We'll start with the good, and I think it's only right we start with the two heavy hitters. I hate how I'm gonna phrase this. They carried this movie. I'm not saying this movie was bad without them, but they definitely made this movie a lot better than it might have been if they didn't have these two actors.
Okay.
Because Bill Skarsgård, obviously he's the one that's locked in this car throughout the entirety of the movie. He sells deprivation, starvation, thirst, the loss of will to live.
Yeah.
And then Anthony Hopkins, I mean, you're talking about a guy that every movie he touches, at least his part of it, is usually fantastic. You've got Hannibal Lecter versus Pennywise going at it in this battle through a car speaker. But
That's so crazy to say.
yeah. But Anthony Hopkins, I mean, he for most of this movie he's a voice, but the voice acting,
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins just has that voice. As Corey would say, the voice is butter. Anthony Hopkins, you have a voice of butter.
Yes.
But these two, they complemented each other very, very well.
Yeah. Anytime Bill Skarsgård's on the screen, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
If you know me, you guys know I love him. I know there's mixed feelings about the Crow remake.
Yeah.
I think he killed it in that. I love the OG Crow, of course, and I love the new one just because of Bill Skarsgård. I think he plays such a diverse array of characters in his roles. This one I really enjoyed, just because, I mean, there's really not a lot of plot in this movie, so you really have to sell the acting to make it, like, not a drag, especially, like, the few days where he's just in the car without the car moving. A lot of, like, facial acting, and, like, you could tell, I mean, like you said, he, starving, hungry, thirst, like, all the things, like, you have to, like, show that. And I know there was probably some makeup involved to, like, make him paler or whatnot, but, like, his eyes rolling in the back of his head and just, like, the lethargicness when he was sweating to death and freezing to death and just, like, all of his emotions that he went through. I
For sure.
thought he killed it. And Anthony Hopkins is, fabulous voice. But you have to have some sort of, like, I don't know what the word is. Like, it's kind of like an ominous. Because you don't see him.
I'm gonna make a term for Anthony Hopkins' voice, and he uses it as Hannibal too. Psychopathic suave.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yes.
That's a great one. Because you don't see him.
He has a trustworthy voice.
Yes.
But there's something about it where you're like, this guy's not right.
Yeah.
And he did that with Hannibal, and this one, he has that similar voice. And obviously, when you're holding a guy hostage,
yeah, you're not right.
That alone gives you the psychopathic tendencies.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of them were fantastic. And honestly, a pretty cool concept of a movie. Were there flaws for sure? And we'll get into some of them. But
I can't think of another movie similar or like.
I mean, there's definitely. I mean, Phone Booth is one I haven't seen, but I know it's the same concept, like
Okay.
locked in a place. But this one, yeah, great tension. Especially once the car starts moving.
Mm-hmm.
But even when the car's still, I mean, you watch Bill Skarsgård fight for his life. He battles whether he should drink his own urine or not, which, by the way, is waste, so would make you sick. And he probably should have thrown up, but we'll ignore it for now because he was just really thirsty. But even like there's some moments where you're just sitting in that car and you feel sick to your stomach, like when his fingernail snaps when he's trying to get the automatic shut off.
Yeah.
Or when you see the bullet go through his leg and you see all the blood he's losing. Just things like that. They make it unsettling to watch this movie. And then once the car starts moving, I mean, talk about tension. From the moment that Hopkins is controlling the car and, you know, he's taken out some trash, he says.
Yeah.
Killing some people with the car. And, I mean, that's very Christine-like when I was watching that part of the movie.
Yep.
But then, you know, he comes down and he joins him in the car, and you get some tension there with them talking about, and you find out more about his daughter and why he's holding him hostage, and why he tried to run down his daughter, and, you know, so connecting some dots there. But then, I mean, the tension of the ending with after the car crash, is he going to get out, beating the... Like, there was just a lot of, like, edge-of-your-seat moments.
I know. And
especially in the third act.
Yeah. And I love when he found the automatic shut-off, because now that I'm thinking about it, while the car is parked in the parking lot, and what if he would have gotten it automatic shut-off? The door's still been locked.
Yeah.
I still don't think he'd been able to get out.
Yeah.
So unless he knows how to, like, do some sort of hot wiring craziness, so I think he was able to get to that button at the perfect time.
Yeah.
So that was really cool, and I love the way he phrased it, because he didn't know what he was doing down there with his feet, because under the dashboard. So I think it was perfect timing. It added to it, because I really think, like, there wouldn't have been anything he could have done if he would have gotten it sitting there in the parking lot.
And that's a cool scene too, like the slow motion car crash with the bullet bouncing off the bulletproof windows.
I love that.
Until it goes through Hopkins. But that whole car ride is great. When he keeps slamming on the brakes and smashing his face off the dash. Just a really, like I said, tense, well shot, and incredible scene there, especially just third act in general. Great third act. I mean, it was a pretty good movie all the way through. Like you said, very carried by dialogue for sure. Just a lot like Black Bag. But once you get to that third act and it's action packed, you're buckled in.
For sure.
Unlike his face, but and then you get the happy moment ending with him.
Yeah,
getting to his daughter.
I wasn't sure how that ending was gonna go. I mean, we could tell by the like sky, I think, and kind of like the vibe of when the car was crashed, like that it was kind of probably pretty early in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, his daughter was up. She was probably getting ready for school at that point in time. So you could tell that it was like early morning. So I was like, oh my God, is he actually going to pull this off?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to have to walk. And like they're in like the city.
Yeah.
And like they were not in the city when they crashed. So I was like, oh my gosh.
Which, I mean, he got a truck ride back.
Yes,
to the car shop.
that's before that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, how is he going to get back? Because I feel like this is a pretty like deserted road out here.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to like have to walk back or do some craziness. I'm honestly surprised. So I'm probably missing the foreshadowing that he used his scratch off. But because I thought he was going to, when the truck pulled, I thought he was going to offer him that scratch off.
Oh, no.
For a ride. I thought that, to me, I was like,
he paid off the van with that, then sold the van and got the bike with that money.
Yeah.
But I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I like the opening of this movie too. Because it sets it up really well. I mean, you get into that car for like 15 minutes into the movie. Yeah. But in that 15 minutes, you learn he's not the greatest dad. He's down on his luck. He needs $470-something to get his van back and go to work and pick up his daughter. And then you're in the van. And
yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be so early.
Yeah.
In the movie.
But then you get to connect all the dots at the end. Like, okay, he got the scratch-off money in the car, so he got to take that back and buy the van. But then he got to pick up his daughter. Happy ending. And he was taught a lesson. I mean, the whole point of the movie is Anthony Hopkins is teaching him a lesson now. Anthony Hopkins had more plans than that if he didn't meet his demise. But I keep saying Anthony Hopkins. I can't remember his character's name.
William,
that's right. William and...
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Skarsgård is...
Eddie,
yeah, because Edward.
Yeah.
Yes, because he's a doctor, and William. But once William, obviously, is no longer in the picture, Skarsgård, or Eddie, is able to have his moment, and but he learned a lesson. And you get that feeling from the ending that, like, okay, he's not going to take his daughter for granted anymore, and he's going to figure his shit out.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Which we'll never know.
Yeah.
This is definitely not going to be a movie that gets a sequel, nor do I think it should.
No, absolutely not.
It's definitely
There's nowhere to go after that.
Yeah, no, for sure. But definitely a good watch. Definitely a thriller. It's a 90-minute ride. It's a thrill ride.
Literally.
Now there's some moments where the thrill ride's a little straight and steady, and we'll get into those. But for them, like, once you get to that third act, I mean, you're on the roller coaster of your life.
Yeah.
But that's probably it for me. I'm a good. You got anything else?
I mean, there really isn't a whole lot to talk about, just because, like, there's not a lot of plot or much to go off. You don't want to say set design because
it's just a car. Like,
yeah. Cool car.
Yeah. So we'll hop over to the meh. I don't have anything in the bad, so I'm gonna stick here.
Okay. I don't think I do either.
Yeah. Things I'd put in the meh. It is a little bit of a slow burn. There are moments in the second act where I'm like, where I'm starting to like I'm ready to move on to the car moving.
Yeah.
But then there's moments in that second act where, you get some of the arc from one of the two characters, or like that chasing down the daughter scene was really cool. So there's moments, but I mean, for a 90-minute movie, you don't want to say, oh, you could have cut some stuff out, because I mean, 90 minutes is like the standard for a short movie.
Yeah.
But there was moments like when I left the theater, I was like, that was 90 minutes. Like, it felt a little longer. So it's a bit of a slow burn. So I guess I'd say pacing. See, Blackburn, Black Bag. Sorry, I mixed Brightburn and Black Bag. Black Bag was 90 minutes as well, and it still felt better paced to me. And this one had its slow moments, but that's why I said if it weren't for Skarsgård and Hopkins, I think this one could have really hit a wall.
The only thing I have to bounce off that is that I don't know if they did that to make it feel like you are feeling how he's feeling.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure those days...
For sure.
Those days are just like, oh my god, like never ending, I'd feel. So I don't know if they did that like intentionally to make it like feel long and drawn out. Like his days, I'm sure, were long and drawn out.
Yeah.
And, but, I mean, there were some things, but, I mean, can't really cut much out of
For sure.
Of such a short movie, so.
For sure. Then there's probably some logistical issues. I get the idea that this is an electric car, but it never gets charged.
Yeah, I thought that, and I almost whispered to you in the movie theater.
It's something I can look past, but it's something I'm going to throw in the meh just because when you're showing the movies over the course of 5-6 days, you got to charge the car. Yeah. And maybe he does off screen while he's sleeping or something. I don't know. But that was one of the things.
With his phone.
Yeah, his phone was still alive.
Even if you're not using it,
it's not gonna make it 6 days.
No, it's still not gonna.
Yeah,
it's still not going to last.
And then the last meh I have is I'll put the effects in the meh because I enjoyed most of the practical effects, like our blood, a lot of good body, a lot of good body horror.
Yes.
But the elements looked horrible. Whenever they go outside and show it's raining, you can tell it's not actually raining.
Oh, I didn't really notice.
The car accident, the fire, did not look real either. So
I don't know if I was really...
When they're in the car and you hear the rain and you see the moonroof, that's the best the rain. They should have just stuck with that. When they pull outside of the car, you could tell the rain's just not... It's not rain.
Really?
The puddles looked good, but it didn't look real to me.
See,
Same with the flames. But like I said, I still enjoyed the practical effects.
Yeah, I didn't notice either.
I mean, it rained like every day.
It did.
So,
and I wonder...
To shoot a movie where it's raining every day, you probably got to add your own rain.
Yeah.
It just doesn't rain every day. Unless this movie's like shot in Seattle. But
they were in some big city.
They were in a big...
Like
maybe they were in Seattle.
Chicago or somewhere.
It just... There was moments where when they would pull out and be like, not great.
I didn't catch that, but I guess I...
That's it for me.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
I don't think I have anything in the bad either.
So we'll hop over to our final thoughts and ratings. What do you want to leave off with Locked, and what do you give it out of 10?
I mean, it's another good, short 90-minute thriller if you like that. I mean, you can't go wrong. The cast is phenomenal. The storyline's pretty good. I mean, there isn't a whole lot to say about it. I mean, it was just good, and the casting, I don't think I could think of anybody to play those two roles better.
For sure.
I think they did. Skarsgård just has like the look.
He has natural charm.
Yeah. And I think they were gonna, and no slight to him, but I think they were going for like that street junkie look. Yeah. Which he kind of has. Yeah. Like
don't shave for a few days.
Yeah. Just like I think his eyes. Yeah. His eyes have like that look, like naturally, like just like him. Yeah. Normally. So I think the casting was phenomenal. For me, it doesn't have, and I always mention this, it doesn't have like too much of a rewatch value for me, except for maybe to see those rain and fire effects again, because I really want to see it now that you mentioned it. But I'm gonna give Locked a 7. Okay. 7 out of 10. I think that's a pretty fair ranking for me.
We were on par with each other. I'm going 7 out of 10 as well. Cool. There was moments in the movie where I'm like, wow, this could be an 8. There was moments where I'm like, wow, this could be a 6. But I think ultimately it landed on that 7. Just it's a solid, good time. 90 minutes, but it feels a little longer, but it's still a worthwhile watch, especially for the third act thrill alone. Great tension in that third act. And like you said, I mean, if you're a fan of Skarsgård or Hopkins or both, it's worth the watch just to see those two bounce off of each other in this thriller as well.
That's what got me into the theater. Yeah. Because Bill Skarsgård's one of my faves. I just seen the trailer like last Thursday. I think we went, and I was like, oh, I need to go see that.
You're not a real horror fan unless you watch Hannibal Lecter lock Pennywise in a car. Yeah. You know? I did like you could tell some of his Pennywise voice was coming out in that scene.
And I didn't catch it. Dang it! Now I'm gonna have to go rewatch it. But when it comes to streaming or somewhere, I'm gonna have to rewatch it
for sure. But yeah, definitely.
Maybe I'll watch the trailer, get some clips.
Definitely worth the watch. But
I think so too.
That'll do it for Locked. Rosie, thank you for coming on. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. If you like what you're watching, check out some other videos. Hit the subscribe button or follow the social links down below. Stick around. We'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Peace and love.